All right, everybody, this is Mikey Likes It here again. I'm with the king of Vornair. Say hello.
Hello.
And so today we're doing another Q&A from the masses. So I guess I'm just going to cut straight to the chase. So we'll go off with, if you can't pick a fox for a pet, what would you choose?
Out of the available choices,
Yes.
either the Leviathan or the Wildcat. The Leviathan more because it seems to be its special ability is to see through people's like disguises and whatnot, or see their
Oh,
true
yeah.
intent type thing.
Yeah, that's a very
So
good
that could
one.
be useful. And Wildcat because, well, it's a Wildcat.
What drew you to COE?
Probably the same thing that drew everybody else to COE. It's the game that we've been um, dreaming about since we were knee high to a grasshopper. But no, it's something different. It's refreshing. Um, the um, the granularity of it is exciting. The setting is, I love fantasy. Um, I love low fantasy more than anything. Um, and yeah, that's really what drew me into COE. The Soulbound Studios being as transparent as they have been throughout the entire um, history of the studio was really refreshing as well. I don't think I
Yeah,
would have pledged as high as I did if I didn't believe in them.
that's definitely a very good answer. I like that. All right. What is your favorite feature so far on the game?
My favorite feature of the game is the fact that you can literally build the game into exactly what you want and or need it to be for what you want to do, right? Other
Yeah.
games, there's no such thing as building the game that you want. If you want to do blacksmithing in other games, it's a side thing, it's a secondary thing. Whereas in this one, you can actually make your game completely about blacksmithing, and that's
Oh, yeah.
phenomenal to me.
Yeah, that's something I definitely enjoy as well, that it's so unique and you can have so many different possibilities of what you want to do in the game and what you want the game to be for you. So I definitely like that. Melee or ranged type of weapon, shield or not?
I'm typically a two-handed type fighter in most things that I play. Um, yeah, so yeah, two-handed weapons.
Easy enough. If you knew an enemy army was approaching, would you go out and attack that force and surprise them, or wait for them to siege and battle with the aid of walls?
It depends on the highly dependent upon the situation. And as
And
Blackstone said,
yeah,
classified.
classified. Well, yeah, and it would be basically on the basis of each situation.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I know for a fact they're coming to attack us. And we had strategic points that we could essentially start picking off their number.
yeah,
Why wouldn't we?
very good. When does slander or bad mouthing the kingdom become too much? I.e., generally, general population is getting angry at you, etc.
The general population's getting angry at me. I hope that I've developed a relationship with you guys well enough that you're not afraid to actually approach me with it, um, and have a discussion with me on it. That's pretty much how we've dealt with everything, and everybody seems to be very much on the same page. If they are frustrated, yeah, it dropped me a line. We can have a discussion about it. That's not a problem.
Well, yeah, I definitely like.
But if you don't like the kingdom that much, right? If you have like such a problem with the kingdom, we're 100, or we're a year and a half to 2 years out from the game. There's how many other kingdoms for North America? Find the one that works well for you.
Basketball or football?
If I had to choose between the two, football, de Norte Americano.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not very much of a sports guy. I chose my football team based on their color scheme. So, yay me. And the Raiders. Go Raiders. If you discovered a kingdom was planning to be attacked, what is your game plan for from there politically?
I discovered a kingdom, so not our kingdom, was planning
Yes,
to be attacked.
somebody else's kingdom.
And if they're an ally of ours, right? Then yeah, I'm going to let them know, hey, here's our intelligence on this, you know, so that they can prepare for it. Potentially even offer them aid, especially since they're allies at that point. If it's a matter of keeping the balance right on the server between the good and the evil, which is what we're obligated to do as neutral. That is our neutrality.
Yeah.
Then yeah, I'll share that information, or I'll withhold the information depending upon what that balance is.
All right, very good. What are your plans to prevent Leviathan from griefing your subjects, or do you not see them as a threat?
So Leviathan is they're not a kingdom, right? They're not a nation. They have to settle somewhere, right? Even if they do settle somewhere and they decide that they're going to come over and start harassing our citizens, right? That kingdom is going to have to answer for that, right? So it's not likely that that kingdom's going to let them get away with it just as much as we wouldn't let them get away with it in our kingdom. Realistically, I'm not too concerned with Leviathan. Realistically, like I think somebody compared it the other day that the U.S. is really really concerned with that the gang type entities, right? No, they're really not, right? It's law enforcement. That's all it
Yeah.
really is. If anything, they're giving our guards something to do, and they're giving our military something to stand for. So they're helping our recruitment.
Well, yeah,
I appreciate them for it.
Yeah, they're still going to be pushing the story forward.
Mm-hmm.
What is your thoughts on members in Vornare, while belonging to another kingdom?
I'm
Apparently
fine with
spying and other things like that.
Spying is a part of the game. We're all about letting people play the game that they want to play, right? And how they want to play it. I'm perfectly fine with people being citizens of Vornare and also having either another account or another character playing in another kingdom. Do what you got to do.
Well, yeah,
I could say if I find out they're not going to be in a leadership position, right?
Yeah.
But that's just out of the interest of protecting our own. They're still more than welcome to be citizens in our kingdom.
How would you feel if one of our duchies wants to split off like Richford did, or tries to do this come launch?
I mean, they're perfectly able to do that. That's not a problem with me. Richford, pledged to king, right? So, I mean, that's how he split off.
Yeah.
It's very well possible that a duchy wants to split off and create their own kingdom when the game starts. We'll do a cost benefit analysis and decide whether or not depending upon what relations we would establish with those people or with that particular jarl, and either fight them on it or let it happen from there.
Wonderful. If we don't get the luck of the draw, picking kingdoms is based on the IP amount in KOE, and settle in a kingdom that has limited resources. Will you break neutrality and get the resources you need and invade PC kingdoms bordering us?
Again, that's a highly dependent question.
Yeah.
So it's not breaking neutrality if a kingdom needs resources and expands because of that need, right? That's not breaking neutrality. That's that's expansion for the sake of, you know,
Survival.
survival. Exactly. Um, so yeah, I don't have a problem doing that if that's what it comes to. It's absolutely possible that, instead of having to do that, we just set up trade agreements with the other kingdoms for the resources that we need, right?
Yeah.
Because if we're light on some resources, I can guarantee that their kingdom is going to be light on other resources, and that trade will need to exist.
Wonderful. I definitely like that answer. Do you support equal opportunity of citizens becoming nobles?
I think that's I've answered that a few times. Yes, absolutely. If your noble is not running their area the way that you would like to see that area run, and you're able to get a majority of people to back you to become that noble, well, you earned it, right? So Cassius Belly, and and have at
Good
it.
and good luck.
May the best noble win.
Yeah. I understand that we
Now,
do
the
not.
caveat
Oh,
to that,
okay.
there's a caveat to that, right? Is that they have to do something to warrant that, right?
Yeah.
You know, like they have to be running it in such a way that they're denying you voice, they're denying you the ability to play the game the way you want to play it, so on and so forth, right? In order for me to just say, yeah, have at it, and may the best person win, right? If it's like a preeminated thing, right? I.e., you're planning on getting enough barons together to overthrow a count as soon as you get into the game, and instead of overthrowing an NPC count, for some reason you decide to overthrow a PC count, and just immediately. Well, I can pretty much guarantee you that that duke or that jarl is not likely to let that happen right off the bat. They have to do something to essentially warrant, um, you know, their people to want to take that land.
Wonderful. Understand that we do not look kindly on Laughing Coffin groups such as Leviathan. Will we attempt to aid nations suffering from these groups?
So it's not that we don't look kindly on laughing coffin groups such as Leviathan, right? So it goes back to our policy on griefing, right?
Yeah.
If a group proves that they're a griefing group via their in-game actions, right? Um, once we start the game, then yeah, we're going to be seeking out those groups, and we're going to look to root them out of the, you know, um, the game, right? Because realistically, you can't let groups like that, set their roots in. They're just going to create a toxic environment, and so on and so forth. And every other nation that I've talked to so far is on the same page there. So it's not going to be something that people are going to let stand. Um, will we go help other nations with it? It depends on if they need the help, right? We very well could if they do need the help. But for the most part, most nations should be able to handle it with no real problem, unless there's a straight up griefer nation that like has their own kingdom or their own duchy, and that level of resources and that many players. At that point, yeah, I can see the kingdoms coming together to root out that particular cancer on the server.
Good answer. I like that. Will you support free trade?
Yes. Uh, so long as yeah, so long as it's done via their companies, right? Which is where the vast majority of our business is done. Yeah, I have no problem with businesses trading across the borders. Um, that's business, plain and simple.
When will the military intervene in local law conflicts, such as a group of bandits raiding the local blacksmiths? When is it necessary to send in soldiers yourself instead of the count or duke?
When it's necessary. It's when that guard says, "Hey, I need support of the military because I can't handle this situation myself." That's when the military gets involved. So long as we're not engaged in, wartime, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's where our military is going to be at that point. But the guard is likely to be beefy enough to handle the majority of those issues themselves.
All right. So this one, I probably know the answer for it, but it was asked to you. Will there be contraband or illegal items? If so, by banning items, are you willing to possibly create a market for black market transactions and smuggling by making items illegal?
It's not something that we control at the kingdom level. If
Yeah.
somebody wants to ban an item, it'll be at lower levels. The only caveat to that is the only illegal item at the kingdom level is slaves.
Yeah.
That's it. Everything else is legal. I can see counts are more likely to be the level that starts creating what is and is not allowed. Barons, I can see also making those decisions.
Well, yeah. And I kind of chuckle at the black market. It tends to be not made by anybody that's in like a government position.
Right.
That's why it's called the black market. It's underground. It's in the shadows. Let's say there is a war of kingdoms, and if you don't pick a side, the winner will have you on its next target. Which kingdom would you prefer to be aligned with? And it names a whole bunch of different ones, and why?
So Leviathan's not a kingdom. Dread Legion is not a kingdom. Zalius is a kingdom. Arthos is a kingdom. Kairos is a kingdom. Blackheart wasn't listed.
Oh, I know.
There's a couple other kingdoms that weren't listed. The Imperium, the Azthalon is the new kingdom. Anywho, it depends. Again, we exist to keep balance on the server, right?
Yeah.
So that's where we would align ourselves most likely.
Depends who's warring against who.
Yeah, it's very dependent upon end game actions, so we really can't decide that yet. These kingdoms can say what what they're about all they want, right? I've had my own personal discussions with the leadership of pretty much all of the kingdoms at this point. I do have really good relations with all of them so far. But yeah, it'll really come down to in-game decisions, and what those personality types are. So I can't really answer that question right now.
Understandable. Will there be an official or sentimental objects of Vornare, such as a national animal or maybe even a crop or plant?
A national animal, that's possible. That type of stuff is possible. It's not something we've got into the weeds on yet.
Yeah.
You
So
know,
if it is possible, would we also have protection laws in place for that particular species?
Again, I think protection laws won't be done at the national level. They'll be done more at the county level.
Okay.
You know, just because we choose, a deer as a national animal doesn't mean that, that deers are protected, right? Um, there might be a bit more reverence for deers, right? Therefore, people don't hunt them as often. That might encourage counts to create laws to prevent the hunting of them throughout XYZ portions of a year, right? But yeah, it's not something I'm going to dictate at the kingdom level.
Yeah, and so it looks like the next question is something very similar, where it's just talking about zoos, gardens, and other wildlife protections.
Yeah, if you want to, I won't be creating national zoos, gardens, or anything like that. However, if somebody wants to create those as a private sector type, investment, um, I mean, they're more than welcome to. Um, Again, parts of the government may choose to do that as well. There may be a count out there that decides that they want to do that, and they're going to use tax money from the people in their county to build that. Completely up to them. Not something I'm going to do from the kingdom perspective, unless of course it's something that's suggested or raised as a initiative to the Thanes of the Round, and we agree upon it and pass that initiative.
Good. All right, this one's interesting. Baron Count Duke is planning to spend his first life building a massive defensive structure for the kingdom. Will there be any federal funding programs available, or will it be up to the Baron Duke to figure out the payment?
And again, it could be raised up as something, for an initiative for the Jarls of the Round to vote on, and provide kingdom level funding for that. More than likely, if it's a singular defensive structure, well, depending on what it is, if it's like a wall that goes all the way around the kingdom, right? Then yeah, that'll likely be something that's passed by the Jarls of the Round, right? And funded at that level. If it's like one stronghold at a key strategic location in a duchy, it's more likely that's going to be funded by that duchy because it's really for that duchy's defense.
Yeah.
So on and so forth.
Good. You find a group of soldiers in Vornare territory marked with the symbols of a foreign kingdom that hasn't officially declared war. If you take action, it is possible those soldiers were thieves wearing disguises to incite war on that kingdom. But if you don't take action, it is possible for them to send soldiers again. But use what they learn to maybe not get captured this time. Do you take action? If so, what?
It's an odd question. So, enemy soldiers, or just so soldiers from another nation that hasn't declared war on us. I mean, I would imagine that the guards who approached them, because I would imagine that they are guards or perhaps an army on patrol who found these people, would likely have a discussion with them. Hey, what are you doing here? Are you part of some, escort for yada yada blah blah blah? Yes, no, maybe so. Talk them and put them through their paces, right? And if they seem like they don't belong, right, or they seem like their, intent is unlawful, right, then either they're going to shuffle them back out from the kingdom, or we'll see how it escalates from there.
Well, also there's just a lot of different variables in that, like how many are there,
right?
Because if it's a group of 5, you're not even going to know that they're soldiers,
right?
So, all right. So, what do you think about Zultra's kingdom falling this afternoon?
I mean, it's unfortunate. It doesn't affect us too much because all of those people
EU.
are planning on playing on EU.
Yeah.
I had always been supportive of Zultra, in that I always called him king, and thought he deserved to be called that because he had people willing to follow him and call him that. He lost that this afternoon, and he has since removed the king title from himself. Rightfully so. It's just one of those things. I don't think that they're going to be the only group like that will, splinter off and have those issues over the course of the next year and a half. I hope we don't have those issues over the course of the next year and a half, but that's largely, it's dependent upon our leadership, right?
Yep.
So.
All right. Well, that was the last question that was on the list. Did anybody want to ask any other questions in the meat hall? And did you want to have any final words?
We can open it up for questions. We got plenty of time at this point.
Anybody? Just don't ask about Pokemon. Silence.
Oh, he's typing.
All right. Sounds good. We have one question inbound. Actually, that's the only one I have is Charizard. I think, is that the little guy with a flame on his tail?
No, that's Charmander.
Oh, well, that's the one I have. I have a Charmander. Mander. Sorry, I started playing Pokemon for the first time ever, and I chose Pokemon Go, and yeah, I failed miserably at it, and I have two little Pokemons, and I don't know how to get any more. I walk over to the grass areas, and none of them jump out at me. They're mean. I thought I'd finally jump on the bandwagon, and I'm not doing very good at it right now. All right, first question that popped out. What sort of theme and style would you prefer for a throne room and crown? How will the king dress on an average day?
So that's a good question. The throne room in and of itself, I had an RP session with Rawwick, and the throne room I kind of picture as kind of like a like I think a good example of it is the hall from the Vikings, the show. Ragnar's actual like home, where he became a, a yeah, Thane.
Okay, a thing.
Um,
That
yeah.
works.
So I like that type of concept. Bonfire in the middle. With you know benches along the side and whatnot.
Okay.
Yeah, small and modest. And then the throne in and of itself would be fairly small, almost antique looking, and very dusty because I never sit on it. The real room where decisions are made and whatnot is where the round table room is, and that room is much more grand, um, and very high ceilinged, um, and yeah, some really cool stuff I'm planning in there, but I don't want to spoil any of it.
Sounds
Uh,
good.
I'll dress average on an average day.
Yeah, don't
um,
need to be wearing nothing but like jewels all over the place,
oh no,
bling and bling all over.
no, I'm not that type. I'm not that type. Um, so it largely depends upon the area that we end up um, in terms of what I'll wear on an average day. Um, the silk's probably
Nah.
not Evelake style. Um, Ranging levels of armor would probably be more appropriate for him. Um, you know, Leather, on an average day, unless of course he's going out to help build things and whatnot. So at that point, uh, he'll wear his common linen type arrangement. But from there, if he's going off to battle or he's going to a meeting with like foreign dignitaries and whatnot, he's more likely to wear his family armor.
Will you ever walk in a loincloth?
Probably not.
All
Um,
right.
let's
Well,
see here.
yeah. Let's grab. How accurately do you think Bicycle Wars' interview portrayed you? Are you happy with your performance and the answers, so to speak?
So, I thought his interview portrayed me very well, mostly because it was me portraying myself. um, the only thing that I had any regret on whatsoever is my very minor slip up, in my opinion, of using Laughing Coffin's name in association with being a Griefer Nation. So that came out of my own experience with Laughing Coffin through the 8 different games that I've played and
Mm-hmm.
experienced them in, where they were griefers. Therefore, anybody who goes by that name, I just automatically assume.
Yeah. So beyond the national agenda you have set, do you have a short-term kingdom project, like build a national library or begin colonizing another continent?
So colonizing is definitely going to be on the list, right? Um, but it's largely depending upon ships. It's largely depending upon a whole bunch of research to get us to another continent.
Yeah.
So it's definitely not at the top of my mind when we start. However, one of my short-term, kingdom projects, uh, roads. I absolutely want to get roads, extended and out as quickly as possible because, well, mobility is key,
Oh, definitely.
both for trade and military and just quality of life in general. Um, National Library is another thing. So I see a National Library slash, um, you know, like kind of like school system, you know, beginning school system, um, as a way to funnel new players that just get into the game that have not done any research on any of the kingdoms whatsoever. They have no idea what we're about.
Mhm.
Get them educated on what is the Kingdom of Vornair. What are the laws, how to join us officially, get them those basic skills that they need to get them started and what they want to do, and then direct them towards um, companies companies, guilds, orders, whatever you want to call them, that do the things that they want to do.
Gotcha. All right, so they're over here playing around with different crowns at the moment. I think I saw another question. Secular holidays or only religious holidays?
Secular holidays or only religious holidays?
Why not both?
Yeah, exactly. Um, there should be both, right?
Mhm.
We'll have and that's largely up to you, Maddie. We'll also have those historical related holidays, right? Celebrate the actual establishment of our kingdom, celebrate you know the us driving out the conquerors, so on and so forth. Yeah.
Pick a date and call it Founding Day. Oh, they want to know what your birthday is.
That's PII. I can't disclose that.
All right, any last words?
So yeah, I have a couple. So
Okay.
because we didn't have a lot of questions, this go around, I have to assume that I'm doing a really good job of reaching out to the community, and they just really know what my plan and my vision and all that fun stuff is, and to be honest, you guys really too. I've seen a number of conversations in town square, where people are asking questions about us, and they just answer perfectly, right?
Yeah.
Um, and it's fantastic, right? I haven't seen another community in COE that is as in tune um, with each other um, as our community is. It's fantastic. Um, so thank you for that. And because of that, what I am going to start transitioning these Q&A sessions into is basically we're going to run through our Jarls
Okay.
coming up the next couple of weeks. So I will get out which Jarl is going to be the next Q&A session. So you guys can ask targeted questions about how they plan to run their Jarldom. I think it's good for one, them to be able to start taking on these questions and start
Mhm.
developing you know their answers to them, but two, for you guys to be able to see, what different systems are there going to be in the kingdom, and all that fun stuff. So Yeah, that's what we're gonna do for the Q&As coming up, and we'll keep on going like that. You know,
Okay.
once the Jarls have had their turn, we'll turn it over to the Thanes. That could be a good
And
old-fashioned fun time.
and in the private sector as well, if they want to have a little spotlight for themselves.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, and feel free. Don't wait on it to be your turn to get
Yeah.
that, that bi-weekly Q&A, right? Feel free, go on the website, in the calendar, add your own Q&As, advertise for it, right? I'd love to sit in, you know, I'd sit in a Q&A with you guys every single night, right?
Oh
Learning
yeah.
more about how you guys are planning on setting up your businesses, setting up your counties, setting up your, XYZ, right? What culture are you going to make? Um, really, really excited for that.
All right. Well, with that, I'm going to end this video. Thank you again for the Q&A. I loved all the questions that was asked, and I'll talk to you guys next time.